Festival Exit 2018.
Živijo iz terenskega studija Exit 202 z Petrova Radinske Trdnjave, kjer smo letos gostili tudi vzhajajoče zvezde britanske punk scene Idols. Your second album is ready to see the light of the day at the end of the August. Why is the second album, Joy as an act of resistance, going to be better than brutalism?
Mainly because it's now, and we try and be as present and mindful with our art as possible. It's not as an entity any better or worse than the first. It's just something that we are in and we are happy with and working on. So I think it's not a competition between the albums. It's definitely more concise as a piece of art, and I think we understand our artistic language more than we used to. But I mean, it's all just music.
Yeah. I mean, Danny Nedelko, really great piece of song.
Voilà.
Like yeah, I like it really. I was like, it has a special story to tell, right? About immigration. Can you explain on that?
Yeah, well, I think in the UK at the minute, especially, there is a lot of negative sentiments towards immigration and with the refugee crisis and immigration generally, and it seemed to be an issue. And one of the issues is that a lot of people from our kind of standpoint, leftist kind of liberal kind of people, the reaction tends to be of anger towards the people that are saying it's a problem and that are voicing it, and Brexit and political parties and stuff like that. And I think that what we wanted to do, and that's the title of our album is Joy as an Act of Resistance. What we wanted to do was to go, rather than call these people out and say, no, this is like, you're wrong, this is racist, and belittling them and saying that they're uninformed and stuff like that, actually to just put forward the other standpoint and say, actually, we love immigrants, we think immigration has so much cultural and economic and everything about it is positive. It all
they bring something new to the society, right? I mean, something different.
I mean,
they are society.
They are society.
But is Danny Nedelko a real person?
He's a friend of ours, and he's a singer in a band called Heavy Lungs. And I promised I'd write a song about him, and I thought that he would be the perfect example of someone who's a positive person for us as people, as friends, but also as citizens, and a great example of humanity. And I think, no matter what the role of the person in life, they're still important, and because they're a human. And I think it's important to remind people of the individual and the human worth behind political situations such as immigration and so forth.
You mentioned Brexit before. Last year I was interviewing Michael Kiwanuka in Zagreb, and he was like devastated about Brexit, especially because of the music industry, like bands performing, guys like you performing a lot in Europe, continental Europe. Your thoughts about that? Are you scared?
I'm not so bothered by that. It's not. It will be a small cost to bands and musicians to travel and work in Europe. It won't be an issue. It's a slight inconvenience. The problem is with the families who are a huge part of British culture that are now not only logistically in trouble, but ideologically people are shifting towards a more hateful standpoint towards new people, new ideas and new cultures, which is going backwards. I mean, we're in a country that has learned from progression and to start new and to start afresh, and I think we need to maintain a sense of open-mindedness and progressive thinking is about accepting new things. But it's uprooting and ruining people's lives. It's not just about the inconvenience of traveling and stuff. It's
much more than that.
I think you will find that it'll almost culturally deaden Britain a little bit as well, because open-minded bands from European countries won't get an opportunity to come over, and it's the smaller bands that won't get an opportunity to do something life-changing. You know, like for bands that like ourselves, it's the economic inconvenience isn't the problem to us, but for a band who get booked by some random promoter in like Spain or Slovenia, and that can be a life-changing thing, going over and playing one gig in Slovenia, and it's like, do you remember that time we played that gig in Slovenia? It's amazing, and that kind of stuff will happen less and less, and that's sad, but there are a whole plethora of reasons why Brexit is an incredibly upsetting thing.
Our nation is built on the fact that we went across the planet and butchered people's cultures in the name of the Bible to build an empire. And now, for some reason, people feel like positive change is to close our bridges, like both literally and ideologically. It's insane.
History is a bitch, right?
Yeah.
Back to music. Speaking of that gig in Slovenia, you were in Ljubljana last year playing at a craft beer.
At the Kino.
Yeah, Kino Šiška. A lot of people who saw you were like blown away in a positive way.
Thank you.
Concerts or albums? Is it more important for you guys to have a great album or a great show? I mean, great,
For me, it's a great show, without a doubt. I'm not fussed about the album.
No?
The making of the album is very important. But once you've made it, it's yours, it's not mine.
However, I completely agree with you on that. Like the live performance is all that we're about, but you have to have good music to make it happen. So to collect together a good album, and it also just it helps distill our ethos around the songs that we have and the sounds that we're making, and helps us explore what we're going to do on stage, because when you're live you get caught up in the moment a lot, whereas whenever you're recording an album you get time to self-reflect on the sounds that you're making and how you're going to perform a piece live, and I think that's where the album is useful for us.
I think albums are very important for an artist. Just personally, all I care about is live, whereas you're more about the album, I think.
Yeah.
But
I'm also
they're important for an artistic language to develop, and it's a beautiful thing. To make an album is an amazing privilege, but the feeling you get from being and having the dialogue with an audience is, for me, the best feeling in the world. Sitting in a studio, staring at the back of his head, not so good.
Okay, Bristol for the end. In the 90s it was like really, really trip-hoppish.
Yeah.
How is Bristol today?
Very trip-hoppish.
Yeah. Still.
No, it's the same as it was then. It's full of people with open minds and a very celebratory attitude towards differences, which is why trip-hop was invented, was because of a sound system culture where black culture and white culture, whatever white culture was, combined and celebrated each other's differences to invent something new and beautiful. And Bristol hasn't stopped doing that ever since. People are very much involved and infatuated with each other's different opinions and different artistic ventures. This is a very, very open-minded and collaborative place.
Which I think is, what you've just been saying there, like, it's still very trip-hop. Like, if you listen to Portishead, for example, who are probably the archetypal trip-hop band, like, or even Massive Attack, like, there's not just hip-hop and dub in there, but there's like krautrock, there's metal in some bits, post-punk, there's like, all kind of weird like Afro beats, Moroccan instruments, stuff like that, and that's Bristol. That's like it's a melting pot, and I think the music and the people there, that is kind of a perfect installation of what it is.
Cool, guys, thank you very much.